All right, I've been pretty busy with the spring surge of business with the landscape and my construction company, but figured I'd post an update for you guys. Finally got that cruddy old steering wheel cover off of there. So the truck now has a completely new fuel system, new tires too. Yeah, I just put those on yesterday. So, but new fuel system. Funny story about the tires. I was driving down the road and the front tire blew out because it was dry rotted. So I put a spare on there. The spare was like brand spanking new. Took it to the tire shop. I said, hey, look, it's got a spare on there right now. The rim that belongs on it is in the bed of the truck. And they said, oh, okay, no problem. And I picked it up and I got home and I realized they put the new tire on the spare and threw my brand new spare away. So at least they still had it and they fixed the problem. But so let's go over everything here. New glow plug relay, new wiring harness. That was actually quite easy. Took about an hour to do. New downpipe, 3-inch. Painted the Y pipe. New boots. Marty's e-fuel system. What else? Oh, new battery cables all the way to the starter, all the way to the grounds on the engine. This thing cranked really slow. I thought the batteries were bad. The guy that sold it to me said, no, the batteries are fine. I didn't believe him, so what did I do? I went and replaced the batteries and it made no difference. So then I went to replace the starter and realized the starter on there had a date from last year, which means they were chasing the same issue. Come to find out, it was just the cables. They were worn, they were shorting out or whatever. And so I replaced the cables. This thing starts like a brand new, I guess what you would say like the new 6.7s or whatever. It's very fast turning over. I have plenty of 7.3s and none of them crank as well as this. So it's tempting to change the wiring, but this was actually the hardest thing I've done on this truck so far because everything's very tight and down there. So that's the relay and the breaker for the fuel system. Got the filters up under here. And then I went ahead and I put a 5-inch exhaust, diamond eye, no muffler, none of that. Kind of wish I had it aiming down a little bit, but I'm gonna tell you this was not an easy exhaust system to install. It said bolts right up, but I had to make a few modifications, and it could really just be the fact that the truck is 30 years old and some of the stuff might have shifted. But if you notice, this pipe has to aim down, then come through here, and I had to cut it there, weld it, because the down pipe, if you notice, is aiming downward. And so a couple little weird tweaks we had to make. But yep, 5-inch exhaust. I'm gonna fire it up real quick and I'm gonna show you my new project. So the actual video is about my new project, but figured I'd give you an update on this while I was at it. So this thing cranks right up. So playing a dangerous game here, it's in neutral with no parking brake. Sounds good. It's got a little bit of a miss when it warms up, which is kind of backwards in my opinion. When it's cold, it runs incredibly smooth. Once it warms up, it gets a little misfire. I think it's the injectors. I think they're going to need to be replaced because I've replaced everything else. IPR, ICP. But here's the new project. It's a 96, just like that. Ford Bronco. It's got the 5-liter. Funny thing is, I bought it, and on the way home on the radio, I heard O.J. Simpson died. Kind of ironic, but put new tires on this so far. I have the dash torn down right now because the owner that sold it to me didn't tell me that he went ahead and swapped out some things, and it's not a big deal. He just didn't plug stuff back in. So I ordered a new bezel because that one was cracked up, and we should be good to go there. I'm having an issue with the ignition where turn the key on, everything lights up, but I cannot get it to turn the engine over. I have to hop it with a screwdriver off the solenoid. I replaced the solenoid, made no difference. So I think it might have a bad ignition switch, or the tumbler itself is having an issue, or maybe since he swapped the engine out of a 1991 hold on. God damn, that's hard to pull. Swapped it out of an E150, or E150. So maybe that's why. I'm trying to open this hood, man. It's sticking. So swapped it out of an E150, which means the timing is totally different. There we go. That should not be that hard to open. And it hasn't been, but I'm wondering if something happened. Hold on one second. All right, so when I opened the hood, cut the video off, so I had to start it again. So this engine is out of a 1991 E150. This truck's a 1996 Bronco. Now they're both the same displacement, but in 1991, that was the year before they updated the camshafts. So this engine has a 1876 something timing. And the engine that was in here had a 13726548 timing. So I set the timing back to what it should be, and it starts and it runs, but it won't idle. And I have to use ether to start it, which tells me something's wrong. So I start chasing down everything. Everything's making sense. There's no problems. Until I remembered the ECM is telling the fuel injectors to fire on this order, and the distributor is firing on the other order, so it's getting fuel at the wrong time, which is making it run like it's got retarded timing. I'm sure I'll get canceled for saying that, but it's a technical term. Anyway, so the options are, I can hop the injectors to the right timing, trick the computer. I'm not doing that. The other option is to pull the water pump, pull the camshaft, swap the camshaft with the engine that belongs in this truck, and it'll be on the right timing for the spark to match the fuel injection. I don't want to do that either. So I called the guy that sold me this truck and I said, "You wouldn't happen to have the old engine, would you?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, yeah. You can have it." I said, "Well, what's wrong with the engine? Why'd you take it out?" He said, "Well, I thought the timing chain had jumped. So I just pulled it out, and then I realized it was the shear pin on the distributor gear." So it's got a perfectly good engine sitting waiting for it. And what I'm going to do, just to take a extra measure, is I'm going to get a long block from Jasper or somebody, take all the parts off the old engine, put it back in here, and it'll be back original, numbers matching. This engine runs fine. There's nothing wrong with this engine. It runs actually quite good. I had it going for about an hour. I just got to keep the RPMs at about 1,000 or it stalls. After that hour, I pull the dipstick, the oil looks like brand new. So it's a shame that he put the wrong year engine, especially when it was a good engine, and he sacrificed his van for that. So whatever. When I got this, none of the components were on here. The whole entire front was taken apart. I put it all back together. He said he spent 4 years trying to get this to run. I had it running in 4 hours. So I'm not a licensed mechanic, but I would say I might know what I'm doing. Anyway, fresh new tires. They're too little. It's what it calls for, but they're so freaking small. This thing, I just put them on here just so I can get it put back together. It's getting new interior. This is going to be pretty much a brand new truck when I'm done with it. The red truck, that's another one of my work trucks, and I just wanted something that would be dependable and affordable, because that $90,000 piece of crap that I sent back, you know, was nothing but headaches. I've got about $3,000 in this truck total. I paid $400 for it, and I did the fuel system, the wiring, and the exhaust. The exhaust cost more than anything, honestly, because it was like $600 for the kit, and then I had a welder come out, and that was another $600. But it's got a couple little things. I got to fix the whatever you call that on the tailgate. Fix some of the paint around the fender wells. Camper shell makes the truck ugly, but it makes it so I can keep tools in the back and not worry about it getting stolen as easily. Anyways, as I go with this Bronco, I will check in. All right, y'all have a good one. Like and subscribe.